So Zee and Medhavi, thank you so much for joining us today. And Medhavi, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, right? Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation that you gave us today. It answers much of the questions that I wanted to ask you. I was hoping to gain some more insights on how commerce intelligence is evolving in India and how India is evolving as a market for you. So Zee, I'd like to start with you if you don't mind, right? So as global brands evaluate their investments across APAC, where are you seeing a structural shift in media budgets towards India? And considering India's demographics, right, is India becoming like a place where everything is tested before you take it to larger countries?
Thanks, Supriya. I think yes and no. So to a certain extent, we are seeing the uniqueness about India is really the high digital adoption rate, right? Consumers are very comfortable in adopting new digital innovations. And then at the same time, the growth across in the commerce space is across all segments, right? Let's say in retail media, in social, omni-channel as well, and now with LLM. So this is an area which creates a lot of opportunity for the fast growth and the high consumer or rather digital adoption. We just heard from Drift earlier that with Kellogg's, we use transactional signals from the quick commerce platforms. I did mention about quick commerce earlier. Quick commerce is definitely the key driver, right, in Indian market. Yeah. So going back to that, like intense transactional signals from quick commerce platforms, and then we connected that with OTT awareness with Meta and open internet retargeting, right? And Drift shared a lot of data on the slides, but the two that stand out for me is really the average weekly reach is 2.1 to 2.3 million, and 97% new to brand buyers, right? Like 97%, isn't that amazing? Yeah.
Most of your products are AI driven, right? I'd say all of your products are AI driven. And AI is an investment for the companies. It's an expensive technology, right? And India's digital economy is driven by millions and millions of small and mid-sized businesses. So I'd like to sort of understand, is AI powered commerce becoming accessible to them? Or is it limited to only large companies?
I think the very essence with which AI has evolved has really been that it is trying to make things accessible for everyone. So all the data that was only available to larger companies, I think the change with AI that's happened is that now even smaller companies who are the true heart of the Indian economy, of the growing Indian economy, I think they're making it accessible to that as well. I think the opportunity really for all SMBs is to really partner with the right technology partner that can give them the same scale or maybe even more, and give them the access to the right commerce signals to really understand audiences very well, because you can be using AI, but ultimately it depends on, AI is as good as the data it is trained on. So how well we're able to do that and how well they're able to partner is what truly can make them compete with any large organization. And at Criteo, we take immense pride in the fact that we absolutely have very high commerce signals. We do over $1 trillion transactions annually, and that is the kind of, and the richness of the commerce signals that we have actually, is the true power that SMBs can use.
So now that we have discussed the scale part of it, Zee, and Medhavi mentioned about how the small companies are using AI, right? I'd like to sort of understand. Many markets in APAC have scale. It's not just India, right? So beyond scale, what would you say makes India different from other markets in the APAC region like China, Japan, and even Southeast Asia when it comes to commerce innovation? And has India influenced the way Criteo approaches other markets?
Thank you. Yeah, definitely so. I think what's unique about Indian market is really, as I said earlier, the high digital adoption and then the rapid innovation, as well as a very open and highly competitive commerce space, right? So that creates an environment whereby businesses and brands really need to innovate and come out with new commerce models rapidly to suit the changing consumer behaviors, right? Let me share two examples. Right? We work with ClearTrip, and to help them drive growth, we come out with a campaign that is intent-based, based on AI technology, obviously, and then we use that for bidding, AI-assisted bidding and budget allocation. And then, of course, we personalize the creatives to re-engage dormant users, right? We identified that as an opportunity, and with the agreement of ClearTrip, we target that as a specific segment, right? And that campaign helped ClearTrip drive 10 million unique users, improve the cost efficiency by 1.5 times versus other paid channels. And what is amazing is with that, 42% of the purchase contribution comes from dormant users, right? Users whom they have already acquired but are not engaged, right? So we come up with an approach, a campaign that target that segment, right? Because they are already users in the platform, right? Yeah. So that's one. The other one is with Libas, right? We use our commerce growth solution to help them acquire audiences across channels, right? So by combining social channels and open internet, which we are very strong in, we help them improve their ROAS year over year by 72%. The click-through rate improved by 108%, and the conversion rate improved by 133%. Right. I mean, as a marketer, I think I would love those figures, right? Because my CFO will love those figures too. Absolutely. And it makes it easier for me to get more marketing budget, right? And as you have heard during the media roundtable earlier, we emphasize a lot on cross-channel and full funnel. Right. And like we say, yes, we add OpenAI as an additional channel. Retail media is another channel. So we are continuously adding channels to it, and we see the power of the cross-channel and the full funnel solution. And that is what is happening today, right? But if you look at the let's say the digital penetration rate of India, right? There's still a long growth pathway, right? As I understand it, the penetration rate today is slightly less than 39% of the population versus the average of 54-55% across APAC, right? So this opportunity, the dynamic market of rapid innovation, changing consumer behavior, and a huge potential for growth is an environment that is very unique to India. And then, so the answer is yes. There is a lot that the other markets, the other retailers and brands can learn from what's happening in India.
And apart from the CFOs, we journalists also enjoy that they're sharing the metrics, right? It doesn't leave us room for any more questions, I'd say. So Medhavi, on this cue, I'd like to sort of come to you, right? You mentioned a lot of AI right now, and every brand, to be honest, says that they have an AI strategy today. It's maybe a buzzword or a FOMO aspect. Everybody says that they have an AI strategy in place. So as what I'd like to understand is, from what you see in India, what separates businesses that are creating real business impact from those who are simply adopting AI as a buzzword?
It's true. I've been hearing for such a long time, even when we do panel discussions, we say that, AI is the new buzzword. But I think the change that we have seen in a lot of organizations is that they're no longer treating AI as a buzzword. They're integrating it into their everyday lives, and I think that is really what distinguishes them from anybody who's using it as a standalone project, I'd say. So to me, I think about it like this, that when it is about AI, even if you're thinking about integrating it, it should not be an afterthought, right? You still have to go back to the basics and the fundamentals, and those stay the same, because it's always going to be, what exactly is my business challenge? What is the strategy that I should be using to solve it? And when you're integrating AI, then you should be doing it at every step of the journey, whether it is what the planning should be, what the strategy should be, how the optimization should be, how are you using the insights coming out of it to replan that entire journey and closed loop. Should be using AI at every step, and the organizations who are actually doing that are the ones who are staying ahead, because they're not treating it as a standalone project or being like, let's use it. It is about how are we integrating it for everyone at every point in time.
Absolutely. That's a very pertinent point. When we are deploying AI, we should be in it for the long run. It shouldn't be a standalone project, and it should be there across. It shouldn't be in silos, right? That's a very pertinent point, Medhavi. Thank you for mentioning this. So, Z, now I know this is a difficult question. Considering the very important point that Mark mentioned in the roundtable, that 80% of the things that were not there last year are here. But still, this is a journalist's favorite question because we expect you to know this. What do you think people will say was the defining shift that changed commerce in India during this AI era when you look at it like a few years from now?
That's indeed a tough question. I need to bring my crystal ball.
Right.
Yeah. As you heard from Mark and you rightly pointed out, things are changing really fast, right? But fundamentally, I believe that AI, like Medhavi say, AI helps improve the decision making. Helps make things more efficient, more effective, right? So the shift, I think, will come from the pivot from just using AI to automate work to enable better decision making, right? That is definitely essential. That said, it shouldn't replace human decision making, right? At the end of the day, hopefully, we still know how to make it fun shopping experience for our fellow consumers, and not relying on AI, alone, right? I think that is the balance that we need to, strike, and the companies who will succeed will be the ones who balance that, let's say, properly, and leverage the partnership across the industry, to enable that.
So, Medhavi, let me just come back to you for the India perspective, right? If you could ask every Indian CMO to stop doing one thing today to prepare for the next phase, since we are talking about the next phase of commerce, what would it be?
What Szi-Wei was just talking about was that, how people need to be, how commerce intelligence, with that people need to be adaptable. Commerce intelligence needs to be intelligent, and it needs to be human-led. So I think I'll take that cue and I'll start from there, that if I was to tell every CMO, I think I'd say stop looking in silos when you're thinking, because what's happening is that consumer journey is not happening in silos. Consumer is not thinking, let me go to a social channel, let me go to an OTT. How the consumer is doing is they're watching OTT, they are scrolling content on social, they are after that going and reading a news. So they're doing all of that, maybe playing a game later. So when they're doing everything, that's how marketers also need to think. Stop thinking in silos of this channel is going to give me that. Start thinking about, if my consumer is present everywhere non-linearly, then how do I find my most important high potential users and find them everywhere across all channels, and even when I measure impact and outcome, how can that connect everything across the full journey, I'd say? Because again, you may be in different stages. You may be in a stage where you're already the leader in the market, you may be in a stage where you're the challenger in the market, you may be a new entrant. So depending on the stage where you are, all the funnels still continue to be important. So how do you be present for the user every time, everywhere, and make their user journey and their shopping journey more relevant for them, more fun for them, and more useful? I think as far as they continue doing that, they'll get it right.
And if the consumer is everywhere, AI needs to be as well, right? So if the consumer is breaking silos, companies need to as well. So Medhavi, one more question that I'd like to sort of ask you is, what is the one misconception that global companies still seem to have about the Indian consumers, and why does that assumption no longer hold true?
That's a very interesting question. I think, globally, everyone has always thought that Indian consumers are very price conscious, only thinking about price. So what's going to work is going to be something that is most cost efficient. I think in the last few years, if you would have seen, the Indian consumer has really evolved. What they're looking at is value instead of just cost, right? So if the perceived value is correct, then they are going to invest in it. So I think overall everyone needs to start moving to that change. And you'll see it, we're here where quick commerce is right everywhere, right? And if there is a platform fee that gets charged for convenience, then people are okay for it because they're getting that convenience. There are so many Gen Zs you would see. In particular, we see that they're buying phones that are high priced. They're buying it on EMI also because the perceived value is correct, right? So I think India is moving from a very I want the cheapest price option to I want my money to be worth it and I want the right value for my money. And I think that's where the consumers are moving, and that's where the perception and all the marketing strategy also needs to move.
So this is a question that I have for both of you, right? Since we've discussed so much about India and AI already, I'd like to sort of understand another dimension to it, right? So if I had to ask you in one sentence, India is becoming APAC's commerce innovation hub not because of AI, but because of, and why?
Because of the consumers, right? And that's because of the high digital adoption and let's say more adventurous behavior in the digital space, and that really makes companies like ourselves and brands having to innovate faster, to suit the changing behavior.
I'll take that cue from Szi-Wei and say that, I feel it is because, as I said earlier at the roundtable, India doesn't move at the speed of evolution, it leapfrogs it. So I think that's why it is where it is. It is the place where the speed of execution is very fast, and it is really where everything converges, whether it is digital adoption among consumers, whether it is mass adoption of anything that is new that comes in, and the speed at which people take it, the speed at which marketers respond to it, all of it converges together, and I think that is what makes it the hub.
Perfect. I think Medhavi, you summed this interview up perfectly. Thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us. It was absolutely wonderful. All the metrics that you shared, Z, we really appreciate it. And Medhavi, thank you for breaking quite a few myths, about the Indian market and Indian consumers. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
Yeah.